Hello and welcome to the Acumatica dashboard session at Propel 2021. My name is Kevin Gartley and I'm one of the Acumatica consultants here at the Answer Company. In this short 20-minute session, it's my privilege to be able to review some of the features related to dashboards in Acumatica. My agenda for this session is to provide a brief introduction to dashboards, and then we'll begin to create a basic dashboard and explore some of the common and new widgets in Acumatica 2021 R1. So with that, let's dive into the sales demo tenant. In this example, you can see that I've set the new controller dashboard in Acumatica 2021 R1 to be my homepage, so it's the first thing I see when I log into Acumatica. Depending on your permissions, there are a number of dashboards that you may see in the dashboards workspace. Let's look at a few examples. The first example would be the Support Manager dashboard. If you're using Acumatica CRM, this would be a dashboard that your support manager could use to keep track of open cases, unassigned cases, cases that are overdue, and who owns certain cases. So this is a good example of the various widgets of a dashboard in Acumatica. If I was a salesperson, I might go to my salesperson dashboard and make this my homepage. Here I would see all the new leads that have been assigned, any opportunities that I'm chasing, any other activity that I need to follow up on. One of my favorite dashboards is the Customer View dashboard. In this dashboard, I can see on a customer level, in this case, I've left the customer ID blank, so I'm seeing all the customers and all the activity of support cases, overdue cases, credit limits extended. But I can also select a specific customer. So in this case, I'll choose ABC Holdings, and you'll see that all the widgets on the dashboard are updated with that parameter. And now if I was to make a phone call, whether it's service related or sales related, I could get a quick glimpse into the activity on this customer before I gave them a call. Another helpful dashboard is the Warehouse Manager dashboard. If I was in charge of the goods coming in and out of the warehouse, this might be a logical space for me to start my mornings, to see what do we have to ship today, what's late, what we're expecting that hasn't arrived yet, and so on. More specifically, you can go down to tailored roles. So out of the box, there's a shipping clerk dashboard, where this is just hyper-focused on what needs to ship and just that task alone. Likewise, there's a receiving clerk dashboard, where a receiver would be able to see, what's overdue, what's coming in, what are the items that I need to put away, and so on. So those are just some of the sample dashboards that come out of the box with Acumatica. I just want to return back to the controller dashboard and we'll go through a few of the widgets. On the controller dashboard, we see two new widgets for Acumatica 2021 R1. The first is at the top, the Link Widget. These widgets allow me to provide a link to a dashboard or any other Acumatica form, report in the system. And just by clicking on it, it will open that new report or form or dashboard. The next new widget looks a lot like the old widget so far, and that's the new KPI widget, formerly the scorecard KPI widget, and it has two visualizations. In this case, I'm seeing the visualization of the old scorecard KPI, and we'll see the new meter visualization a little later in this session. On this dashboard, we also see a variety of chart widgets, each configured to view a slightly different way. So I can have pie charts or donut charts, stacked bar charts, line charts, or just normal bar charts, and a lot of other different visualizations on that chart widget as well. Most of the widgets in a dashboard are live. That is, you can click on them and drill down into the data behind the results. As an example, if I wanted to see which customer was on credit hold, I simply need to click on the Customers on Credit Hold widget, and it will drill down into the data behind that widget so that I can see that it's Veracity Credit Consultants that's on hold. Another example is if I wanted to see, what makes up this open sales order amount, I can click on that widget and it too will drill down into the data behind the scenes on that widget. When I click on a widget and I'm seeing the results, I'm seeing the results of the generic inquiry behind that widget. Generic inquiries are used to query and display data in Acumatica for the tenant that you're currently logged into. They're used everywhere in the system. As an example, the vendor and customer lists that you see in Acumatica are really generic inquiries. When I go to the receivables workspace and open the customer screen, The result that I'm getting back in this list is the result from a generic inquiry. All generic inquiries and dashboards in Acumatica can be modified to suit your needs, and there's no limit on the number of them that you can have. If I return to the Open Sales Orders GI and we look at the results that it's giving us, let's just take a quick look behind the scenes as to what makes up a generic inquiry. The quickest way for me to get there is the customization menu in the upper right-hand portion of the screen and click Edit Generic Inquiry. Here, for those of you that are used to working in databases or with database tables, you'll see a lot of familiar elements. I'm selecting which tables I want to be able to view data on, how those tables are related and their respective joins, any conditions that would have on that table to be able to filter the results that I'm getting from the result set, and then what's in the result grids. Those are the columns of data that I'm getting back as a result. So when I'm viewing the results of a generic inquiry on my screen, it's the fields that are on the results grid tab that I'm seeing. So if I click view again, those are the fields that I'm getting returned to the generic inquiry. You can use any generic inquiry in the system as the basis for a dashboard widget. We can also provide training in another session or one-on-one training on how to create generic inquiries in Acumatica, or you can let us know what data you would like for your dashboard and we can create the generic inquiry or generic inquiries for you, and then you can simply build your dashboards from there. So that's a very brief introduction to dashboards in Acumatica. Now let's see how to create one from scratch. All of the elements that you'll need to create a dashboard in Acumatica are found in the customization workspace. When I click on customization, it's the bottom four under the profiles that you can use and will often use when creating a dashboard. As I had mentioned before, all widgets on a dashboard have an underlying generic inquiry. That is something that queries what data is going to be used for the widget to be displayed on the dashboard. You can also create pivot tables off of generic inquiries. Pivot tables are very similar to what they are in Excel. Dashboards are the container that I'm adding widgets to be able to view the results of a generic inquiry. And then lastly, if I'm using shared filters in my generic inquiries, those shared filters are also accessible for use by the widgets on a dashboard. For our basic dashboard, we're going to use the existing vendor documents to pay generic inquiry. Let's take a quick look at the vendor documents to pay GI so that we know the result set that we're going to use for our dashboard. If we go into generic inquiries, the title on this one is bills to pay. And if we look at the results, this is the GI that we're going to use today to build our basic dashboard. And these are the fields that are going to be available to us as we add various widgets to that dashboard. Note that my personal preference is to prefix all GIs that I create to be used with dashboards with a DB prefix so that I know they're used on a dashboard somewhere, and that if I make any changes to this generic inquiry, I may be impacting one or more related dashboards. To create a new dashboard, we'll go back to the customization workspace and click on dashboards. Here we'll create a new dashboard. I'm going to call this one demo dashboard. And for the owner's role, I'm going to give it the dashboard designer role. This is a built-in role in Acumatica, and it allows me to assign multiple users to the dashboard designer role, and then they would have access to edit or to make updates to any of these dashboards that this role is applied to. In this case, you can also choose whether or not you want to allow other users to personalize the dashboard. I'm going to turn that off. And then if and when you're ready to show this on the user interface, we can check make default, make visible on the UI, give it a title. In this case, I'm going to put it into the dashboards workspace with the other dashboards, and I'm going to add it to the finance dashboards. And then lastly, we give permissions to who's allowed to see this dashboard. And since I'm just in the development stage, I'm going to let admin be able to view it and the designer dashboard role. Once I'm finished with my changes, I'll hit save. Now if I go to the dashboards workspace and the dashboard finance category, you can see I've now got a new demo dashboard. That's how you make a dashboard. But to make this dashboard a little bit more user-friendly, we need to be able to add some widgets. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll go into design mode. And usually the first thing I do after that is go into edit layout. Here you can see there's 4 layouts. One is just the whole page, another splitting the page in 2, and then the other is 2/3, 1/3. I'll select the last one for this example. Now we can add as many widgets to this dashboard as we like. I'm going to add the new KPI widget. In this case, I'm going to be using the vendor documents to pay generic inquiry. And you can see by default, it's going to show all records. If I had any shared filters on this generic inquiry, I would see them here and I could select them and use them on the widget. Or even if I don't have any shared filters, I could create a custom filter. In this example, suppose I only wanted to see balances greater than $1,000 or greater than or equal to. So I would say greater than or equal to $1,000, and I could save that, and that would be the filter for this particular widget. In this case, I want to see all records. You can see that I can choose a refresh level. So when I'm viewing a dashboard, how often does the data for that particular widget refresh? What field do I want to aggregate? In this case, I'm going to select balance. What do I want as an aggregate function? I'm going to add them all or sum them all. And then further down, I can pick an icon. I'm going to choose account balance. And then lastly, give it a caption. And we'll just call it documents to pay. Click finish. And I can even resize this widget and then view my dashboard. And now I see that my first widget, I've got $7.31 million to pay. And if I click on it, it will drill down into the generic inquiry behind that widget. So let's customize this widget a little bit further. If I go into design mode and edit on the widget, I can add some variables or some levels to this widget so that I'm getting even more information at a glance. In this case, I can set a normal level and an alarm level. The normal level can be either an absolute value, it could be a field from the generic inquiry itself, or it could be a percent of the alarm value. And likewise on the alarm, it could be an absolute value, also an inquiry, a field from the GI itself, or a percent of the normal level. In this case, I'm just going to set 2 absolute values. And I'll say normally, I would expect to have around 5 million in payables, and an alarm level if I'm up over 10 million. If I click finish and view my dashboard, you can now see that the color changes based on the alarm levels. Next, let's look at a new feature in Acumatica 2021 R1, and that is the new copy widget feature. If I go into design mode, I can now copy a widget and then paste it again from the clipboard. In this case, I want to use most of the same settings, so I don't want to create it from scratch, but I'm just going to change a few of these values. First, I'm going to change the field to aggregate to the reference number, and instead of summing it, in this case, I'm going to count it so that I can see how many documents are open. And because I've changed the field, I'm going to change my levels as well. Normal may be 100 open documents, and alarm may be 500 open documents. And then you'll see the colors. Normal will be green, alarm will be pink, and anything in between will be yellow. In this case, I'm also going to change my icon, and we'll go down to the balance scale and click finish. Now on my dashboard, I've got 2 widgets. One summing the total amount of the balance that's still to pay, and the other is counting how many open documents I have. I can cross-check this count by just clicking on the widget and drilling down to the generic inquiry behind it, and I can see down below that I've got a total of 51 records. So my count function on this widget is working. Next, let's take another copy of this widget, but change the visualization. If I go into design mode, copy my documents to pay, paste it in from my clipboard, quickly resize it one more time, and go back into edit mode. In this case, I want to keep everything the same, but I just want to change how it looks. So I'm going to change the visualization type from scorecard to meter, click finish, and now I see the new meter visualization that's available in 2021 R1. Just going to expand this widget out a little bit and come out of design mode. And now I've got the same widget, but with 2 different visualizations. Let's add another widget to the dashboard. I'm going to go back into design mode, and now I'm going to add a widget on the other 2/3 of my layout for the dashboard. In this case, I'm going to pick a data table widget. Still going to use the documents to pay, generic inquiry. And I'm still going to show all the records. I could filter on this as well if I wanted to. Here, I'm just going to say I don't need this to refresh all the time. I'm going to leave it on page reload. I'll say automatically adjust the height for the number of records that are there. And then now I'm going to choose what columns will be displayed in this table mode. So I want the type, reference number, vendor's good. Maybe I don't need status. I don't need the amount, past due or the past 2 days. I'll click OK. Again, I'll give it the title, documents to pay, and click Finish. Let's resize this to take the full 2/3. If I can get there. There we go. And I can also resize my columns as well. So I can make this one a little bit smaller and exit design mode. Now I've got documents to pay in the amount, the count, but I can also quickly see them here as well without having to click into any of the widgets. The next widget I would like to show is just the chart widget. So again, we'll go back into design mode. In this case, I'm going to add a new widget. We'll select chart and next. And it's still going to be off the documents to pay. Now let's configure the chart. If I click on the configure button and drop the selector by the chart type, you'll see that I can select a variety of different charts. In this case, I'm just going to choose the column. And then in the legend, I want to break this out by date. And we'll sort by legend is fine. And I want to round the date to months. And we'll pick this more condensed format. What do I want? I want to be able to take the balance and summarize it. And if I wanted to, I could select a different format as well. We'll click OK. And documents to pay again. And finish. And now I have a chart. I'm just going to drag, so you can drag and drop widgets around too. So if I'm editing an existing dashboard, I can rearrange my widgets just by drag and drop. And in this case, I'm going to resize this one as well. And get out of design mode. And now I've added yet another widget to my dashboard. The last widget I want to add to my dashboard today is the new Link widget in Acumatica 2021 R1. Let's go back into design mode, add a new widget, and grab the Link widget. Here I can select any icon that's in the system. I'm going to choose pen frame, and then what form I want it to open when I click on the Link widget. The Link widget can open any Acumatica form, any report, or any dashboard. In this case, I want to make a quick shortcut to enter in a new AP bill. So I'm going to look up the bills and adjustments screen. And I don't want the one ending in PL, that's the list. I want to go straight to the bill and adjustments form itself. And in this case, I want to be a little bit fancier, and I'm going to pass a couple of parameters. So in this case, it's a new bill. So I'm going to set the doc type to bill equals bill. And I want to be able to set the reference number on this new bill to just be new. So I'll put in my new placeholder and create a new bill and give it a caption of new bill. Now if I click finish and exit design mode, I've now got a shortcut with the new Link widget for a new bill. And when I click on the new bill, it opens the AP bills and adjustments screen for the document type bill and the reference number new, and now I can continue to enter in my new bill. This concludes our sessions on Acumatica Dashboard.